I'm Brian Winnekins at Commodity Classic, and our broadcasts are being brought to you in part by BASF, also the Animal Wellness Center of Buffalo Valley, and Annabis Silo of Durand. I'm with Mark Leitman. He is with the Propane Education and Research Council, and we're going to talk with Mark today about, everyone knows what what's been going on with the propane situation. And Mark, thanks for joining us. It was really, we've had $6 propane in Wisconsin and in the upper Midwest. Now, thankfully, those prices are starting to come back down because of the supplies coming back up, right?
Yeah, that's correct. It just took a long time for the supply logistical infrastructure to catch up. We had some pipeline challenges, it's true, but the state associations, they all got busy, frankly. They got all those trucks out on the road. They prioritized rail car shipments. So they did everything they could at the local level and at the state level to move as much product as they could in the absence of some of their traditional infrastructure not being available.
Let's first see where this all started. It really kind of started back in the fall during harvest time, right?
Yeah, it started in the fall. It started a little bit before that with some of the exports, picking up some pace. We kind of exited last winter with a lot of propane supply. And as a lot of people know, we're producing a lot of propane in the U.S. right now. And that's driven the price down domestically. So last year we enjoyed some really good pricing that also attracted a lot of international investment and a lot of international demand for our products. So being a global market, some of that product was exported over the summer months. We still entered the winter with a good inventory, well within the 5-year averages. But then we got hit with a big grain drying demand late in the fall, probably 5 times the norm for the upper Midwest in particular. And we didn't get a break. Right after that, the cold winter weather set in. We know that this winter is at least 10% colder than normal. So that's a huge amount of additional demand. And between those two events, we're looking in round numbers, 900 million, maybe a billion gallons of additional draw on the propane system. So over what we would consider maybe a normal year, consistent with the last few. So, that was a challenge. And so one or two of those events, maybe we would have been fine, but with the pipeline system, some of the lines were reversed, some lines were down for maintenance. All that added up to some local challenges. But as you mentioned, the prices are coming down. I think everything's going to work itself out. We're in a good position to move into the summer months with a lot of propane available for a lot of applications.
Again, talking with Mark Leitman with the Propane Education and Research Council. Now, Mark, we've talked a lot about the homeowners and farmers and all that paying $6 a gallon. But are we going to, this summer, see higher prices because the propane suppliers last summer booked a whole bunch of product at $1.80, and now all of a sudden winter shows up and they're getting it wholesale at $4.50?
Well, I don't know what those dynamics really look like, but I can tell you, I think it'll be traditionally, we see propane prices, go down in the summer. It tends to be the cheaper time of the year to buy the product, but that, again, not every year out of the last 10 years has been a typical year, so I'd hesitate before I went to the bank on that. But obviously, we think that once this supply shock works its way through the system, we're going to be back to what might be more normal pricing type patterns. So that would include a good value for the product in the summer months. And we think that the irrigation engines that we're promoting right here at this show, for example, relative to diesel fuel, which is $3-4 a gallon, depending on the market and the location, we think we're going to be real competitive against those folks and offer an opportunity for farmers to save money. In fact, we had farmers tell us in last year's surveys, of 150 engines roughly that we placed through one of our programs, they saved 36% on fuel used. That was by replacing old technology with new propane. So great opportunity to upgrade equipment and see huge efficiency gains and, of course, still save money on the price differential.
Again, talking with Mark Leitman. He's with the Propane Education and Research Council. Now, Mark, at the height of all of this shock to the system, because of the harvest, we get the extremely cold weather and a whole host of other issues. I talked with Wisconsin Congressman Ron Kine and said, why don't we have a propane strategic reserve? Is that something that the industry is going, maybe we should have something like that?
Well, that's probably a conversation for our sister organization, which is the National Propane Gas Association. They're the advocacy organization, and that's the kind of dialogue that maybe they could start with members of Congress or members of the Department of Energy. Our role as a checkoff organization is strictly research, safety, and training. So if we could do research, to kind of study the supply and infrastructure that currently exists, and perhaps even look for recommendations within that to pass along, that's our role as an organization. And I understand at the higher levels of our organization we are doing some of that now. So we're sort of looking at this global problem. What are the facts? What infrastructure is in place today? How is the influx of the natural gas development going on in the U.S. affecting all of that? Because clearly that's brought a lot more product on the market. All that product has to be transported. So we're now competing with other products for transportation needs. So I think that's what we're doing. We're studying it, developing facts, and helping bring that information together so others can work on problems like that and make those bigger decisions.
Again, and that might be something that'll be ongoing, kind of a after effect. Let's see we're all done through this. Now let's see what happened, how it developed, what the solutions are, and maybe what could we do down the road.
That's correct. And this is, it's also important to remember that this is just one of those events that doesn't happen that often. We had a huge grain drying year, 4 years ago, 2009, roughly. We also, but this is one of the coldest winters we've seen in probably 20 years. So, but we're going to emerge from this a stronger industry with better infrastructure and better able to handle, these kinds of, 1 out of 5 or 1 out of 20-year events when it happens again.
All right. Well, Mark, again, we appreciate you joining us.
Thank you very much.
That is Mark Leitman. He's with the Propane Education and Research Council from Commodity Classic in San Antonio. I'm Brian Winnekins on Real Country 1430 WRD.